Our words are really powerful. The language we use matters. The words we speak make a difference. That's what we're going to be talking today on this week's Wednesday Wisdom. I'm Dr. Marcy. If you are new here, welcome. Please subscribe and click the bell so that you always get to know when there are new videos happening. I just learned about that fancy trick. Seems pretty fun to me. So, how do our words make a difference? Why do they really matter? As long as somebody understands, shouldn't that be good enough? Well, no, quite honestly. First, we're going to do an exercise so that you can feel the impact of what our words really do for us, ourselves. And then we're going to talk about the impact our words have on our kids and parenting. So, first, we are going to say a phrase 10 times, and I want to see how you feel. Then we're going to say a different phrase 10 times and see how you feel. Now, both of these phrases could be used for the same exact situation. The same experience can happen, and you might say this, I have a big problem. So now we're going to say, I have a big problem 10 times, and I want you to notice, how do you feel? I have a big problem. 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 How do you feel about the fact that you have a big problem? Because for me, I feel a little squishy now. I feel a little worried. I feel like I want to crawl under my desk and hide because I have a big problem, and big problems aren't fun at all. Put in the comments how you feel now that you have a big problem. Okay, and then we're going to try this again. Same exact scenario. We might choose to say, I have an interesting situation. So now we're going to say that 10 times. I have an interesting situation. I have an interesting situation. I have an interesting situation. There's an interesting situation. I have 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 an interesting situation. There's an interesting situation happening. I have an interesting situation. And one more for good luck. I have an interesting situation. I think I lost count there. How do you feel now that you have an interesting situation? Because I'm a little curious. I'm a little fired up to find out what this interesting situation is. Put in the chat how you feel now that you have an interesting situation. It's kind of fascinating. I'm problem solving. I'm thinking. That's what happens when we use certain language. If we think, I have an interesting situation, our brain does one thing. When we think, I have a big problem, our brain does something else. Which one do you want to live in? What space, what feelings do you want to create from the words you use? So be intentional with how you speak, because having a big problem is not fun. Having an interesting situation, kind of interesting. You get to pick how you frame the words you use to think and express the moments you have. So when we frame things in a way that makes us feel better, it makes us more easily able to problem solve, to move forward, to be curious and resolve. And if that's a better way to live than the way you're currently living, you might want to think about that. Now, how does this impact our kids? What does this mean for our parenting? Because I know you're usually here to get some parenting insights. So think about this. You're with your kiddo, you're walking down the street, you're about to cross the street, and you yell to your kid, "Don't run!" Even though you know that your kid loves to run. It's one option. Could say that. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. Usually when we say don't run to kids, they keep going. Another option would be to say, hey, come hold my hand and let's walk together. Oh. Well, that does two things to me, right? Thinking about saying don't run versus come hold my hand and walk with me. One is about the relationship, right? One is encouraging your kids to do something and to do something exactly how you want. Come walk with me, hold my hand, let's do this together. It's bringing them in. That feels really good to me. Saying, don't run is correcting them, perhaps before they've even started to do anything, assuming they're going to do the wrong thing. There's a break in the relationship there. And they don't actually know what to do after that because they know they shouldn't run. But can they skip? Can they run really fast? Can they run really slow? Can they walk on their hands across the street? Can they walk backwards? There are so many options in their head of what is possible that is not running. But you didn't tell them, come here and walk with me. You told them not to run and assumed that they would know what that means. Now, maybe their logic brain knows when I cross the street, I'm supposed to hold mom's hand and we're supposed to go together. But that doesn't mean that that's really what they know how to do. So if you want your kids to do something, use the words that tell them exactly what that is. I want you to come hold my hand and walk with me across the street. Then say that. Don't assume that they can read your mind. Don't think that they're going to know better. You have to teach them. You have to show them what it really is. So teach them effectively. The second thing it does is it helps build the connection. Who do you want to hang out with? The person who is constantly telling you, no, don't do that. Stop it. Or the person who says like, hey, let's do this thing together. Because I want to hang out with the person who says, hey, let's do this thing together. At the end of the day, if you are constantly pairing from a no, don't stop place, if that is the language you're using, you feel like no one's listening to you. You feel exhausted. You feel like you've run around putting fires out all day. It's not fun. But when you come from a place all day of come walk with me, come hold my hand, let's do this together. I'm going to tell you what to do. Even if your kid doesn't do it every time, let's say they only listen half the time, you still now have a kiddo that listened half the time. That's pretty amazing. And you can build from there so that you get more and more active listening from them. At the end of the day, your energy level of how you spent the day parenting will change based on the language you use. Our language is powerful. So with that, I want you to think about how do you pre-frame moments? Pre-frame means before you go into a situation with your child, talking to them about what's going to happen. Do you set them up for success, telling them what you want to see? Oh, we're going to be walking to school today. When we get there, you're going to say hi to your friends. You're going to say hi to your teacher. You're going to give me a hug goodbye. Then you're going to go into school and have an amazing day. Or do you pre-frame it in the like, I don't want to hear from your teacher that you weren't listening. I don't want to get a report that you were bad. Don't go running away from me when we get there. Well, because then you're pre-framing them to be in a lot of trouble that day. Pre-frame with language that is impactful, that builds up your kid, that enhances the situation, that lets them know exactly what you are hoping for them to do and see in the most amazing way. Build them up to the possibility of success and show them through your pre-framing what success is going to look like. That is how we use our language to make our kids into amazing people. That is how we use our language to make us feel successful in a day and feel good about what we're doing with our family. Okay, that's what I have for you today. So the power of language. If you have other phrases that you use to help build up that you find are successful with your family, please put them in the chat because I want to learn from you just as much as you learn from me. And if there are questions that you want answered on our Wednesday Wisdoms, please let me know. Either put them in the chat or click on the link to come over to my website and send me a message because I would love to hear from you. Remember, blue skies are ahead and we're going to get there together.